come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Give praises to Jehovah, from whom all blessing and knowledge will flow. Blessing and knowledge will flow. The Village Talk Show, dedicating to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dream at any age, any point, starting from today, day. Success. Come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come all to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Success is not spoken, it is done. Success is done. Come on now. The Village Talk Show. Talk Show. The Village Talk.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you and welcome. Welcome to the Village. I am your host, Roderick Daly. Just hanging out with you, having a good time out there, learning to utilize all of my machinery as Andre works a turntable. Welcome all the villagers. I will be joined shortly by our co-hostess and our co-host. All right, so
from all the villagers, I will be joined shortly. So co-hostess,
and again, just welcome. So bear with me because I'm trying to work all of these different things that I'm not used to. I'm home today. It's the holidays, so we're trying to just make sure to keep everyone safe. The Omicron virus is real, right? So it is ridiculously real. What they say, the numbers now say that 73% of all new COVID cases is from Omicron, right? But just remember, you're watching, listening, sharing, viewing the Village right here on 92.1 GD radio on the FM dial. You can hear us on Facebook, YouTube, on TuneIn Radio, Gospel JA, anywhere in the world you are, just tune right in, where we're dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any point, at any age, starting from today. So welcome. Today, we have a long show waiting. Long show. We have so many things that we want to talk about, discuss with you, letting you know what's happening. So let's talk. There are a couple of things that happened in the news today. One of them is that the young lady in Minnesota, in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, Potter, she was found guilty of manslaughter. So for killing Dante Wright. So they found her guilty and saying that, she is the cause of his death. And we know that that she stated that it was an accident. She went for the taser and instead went for the gun. The gun was on the wrong side and it was supposed to be on the other side when she pulled it. So she was asking for plea not guilty. It's kind of weird. But I must admit that I didn't expect for her to be found guilty. I really actually thought that she was going to be found not guilty, as a matter of fact, for manslaughter. But it's surprising case where you had 9 whites, 2 blacks, and I believe 1 Asian on the jury. Found her guilty, right? Um, if while you're there, please just let me know what is it that you think. Right? Let me know what you think about the case. Did you think she was going to be found guilty? Not what you wanted to happen, but did you believe that she was going to be found guilty with everything that has happened over the years with police and police brutality? Judge Regina Chu ordered Potter taken into custody and held without bail and scheduled to be sentenced in February. Right, so I believe she can get up to 20 years, according to Minnesota. Up to 7 years, not 20, up to 7 years, according to the Minnesota law. And we know that in Minnesota they give long sentences. All right, so she might get the max or very close to the max. So earlier this year, we had brought a couple of people on. Right, we brought a couple of people on to discuss. Welcome, Dr. Bryant. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I see you have the Christmassy here. You're nice and red. Where are the red glasses?
Oh, you know what? Give me my red glasses. Switch it up. It's in my room. Thank you.
All right.
So you're right.
I was expecting the red glasses right here. How you doing? Welcome.
Great. How are you? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling okay. Not bad. I'm excited.
Wow.
Before I get back to what I was talking about with Kim Potter. Want to shout out Ashley Rogier for her book.
Yes.
I was trying to get her on today, but we just couldn't connect to get her on. But she has a book signing, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yes, the 29th.
I believe it's the 27th. Double check that date. I think it's Monday the 27th. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's check that. Glasses woman. Okay. Let me double check. I'll double check right now. But for those of you out there who wanted something to do on Monday, Ashley is having it's
an awesome children's book on math.
Monday, December 27th is at 666 Washington Avenue. Andre, you can put that up on the screen. 666 667 Washington Avenue. The name for her book launch, and again, we have to support our own on the book launch, a celebration of a new book published by Ashley Rogier. She was also a New York City teacher, right? So she's going to have a personalized book. You know what I found out, Joanne?
What did you find out?
I was doing my will and testament, right? So last will and testament, which we don't do.
Recently?
Yeah, recently.
Okay.
Right. I know I am not in it. Everybody asks, can I be in it? I'm like, well, I'm not even in it. So that was a joke, Joanne.
You won't be alive for it. So why should you be in it?
Oh, you did, but it was a joke. Oh my God. Smile, at least at my bad jokes. But anyway, no, seriousness, like the books, I have a lot of books downstairs, at least 10 books that were personally autographed.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that it's a collection, like my degrees that I got. Because I think people can ask for my degrees. So I didn't, it's funny because things that you don't really think about.
You know what? You're right about that. First of all, not too many people actually go around and do a will. That's first. So I think it's more morbid. People feel, oh God, once you do a will, that means that a lot of people have different misconceptions. And one of them is, hey, you know what, especially older folks, what, you're trying to kill me so you could get money or whatever. So doing a will is important because you're leaving directions and not getting the court involved in many of the legalities and the fighting and family discussion, and you're just making it easier for people to understand what is it that you want to happen
Yeah,
after you leave.
yeah. It's interesting because my lawyer was asking me about things I didn't, and I'm telling you things I didn't even think about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, things I really didn't, things that you don't think about. Like I, and then after having the conversation, right, I heard, you have these stories where the person dies and they walk in and they take the sheets, they take the towels, they take the this, and you know, for me personally, my kids, my parents, my wife are paramount, right?
Of course.
In terms of what is happening, right? And so yeah, it was interesting.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool. So hopefully, I'm might not make it there on Monday, but I hope I might not make it there. No, I will be able to be there on Monday. So people come out and support her,
Support.
support
Absolutely.
what she's
Absolutely.
doing again. I sent Andre the flyer, so Andre, if you can get that up and show it out, that'll be cool.
You know what? I'm excited. I'm gonna tell you why. There's a lot of new children's book that's coming out. For example, our guest today, um, Apostle Early, is also a children. He wrote a children's book. So I am excited that we have different genres. We're looking at different interesting books that children can actually connect to. So that's important. Let me
Yeah,
ask you, Rob, before you say anything else, was today one of your chemo days?
no, no,
Okay,
no.
okay.
Um, next, I unfortunately I'm ringing in the new year with chemo, so it's next week. I just didn't go to. It didn't make sense for me to go to studio today. That's why. So I
And I
decided.
want okay, okay.
So I decided to do it from home. Although the lighting
Yes,
stinks
yes,
from home. Um,
yes. But it's okay.
yeah,
We can see you. We would love to see you more, brighter.
yeah. I know. I thought about that, and I was thinking about maybe I take a when John comes on, I'll take a couple of minutes. Oh, by the way, you beat John today, right? You beat John.
Let me tell you, I literally left work late
Uh-huh.
and had to pick up my child. So,
No, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying that normally you're late and John is a little bit earlier. So today John is late and you're earlier than John. So that's
it's
that's
okay. It's all
that's
right.
I want I wanted to talk about something.
Yeah.
I'm gonna well wait. I'm sending a picture. Andre, see if you can bring this picture up for me, right? So the young man, yeah, we were talking about the young man and um that got killed by the police
This
earlier
week.
this week,
This week. It was on
Monday,
Monday.
right? And it's very sad, right? Because he was my former student,
Mm,
and when we were talking about it, you and I and our production team
mhm.
were talking about, and I said we didn't know what happened, so let's find out. And then you immediately went to mental health,
Mhm.
and as it turns out, one I didn't know who the person was, right? Because I didn't hear about it. And I think while we were in session in the meeting
Mhm.
or shortly thereafter, I got two text message.
While we were in session. Mhm.
I got two text messages, and I was like, "What do you?" Well, the first one didn't say much. It said what it needed to say, but I didn't make the connection.
Mhm.
It's Daily. Did you hear that Erd's peer died? That was the message. I'm like, so the person asked me, do you remember him? I'm like, Erd's Pierre. Of course I remember Erd's. I remember exactly who the person was. Right? And then he died. I was like, he died. What do you mean by he died? Then I got the second text. Mr. Daly, Erd's was shot and killed by the police. Shot and killed. We were just talking about that. And then I got the next text and they were talking about it. So I was just thinking out loud. I mean, I don't know the whole story, so I'm not chastising the police on this. I'm not chastising Erd on this. What I am upset about is that clearly somebody with mental health issues.
Exactly.
So those of you who are paying attention to the flyer, Erd is, let's hold this up. Can you highlight that a little bit bigger, Andre? Erd is the go back, Andre. Erd is the young man that's touching the basketball on the far left. Right, that's Erd.
What color shirt? Red?
Red.
Okay, he's the one bent down.
Bent down, leaning over. So when I got there, I said we need to start a student faculty basketball game.
Yeah,
so
we see.
So if you,
did you have hair? Did you have hair during that time?
You got jokes? No, they say, if you look at the one on the far left, that's me. Yes, and guess what? We won the game. As old as I am, back then. This is 2013. Right, so this was 2013, and he was a senior 2013. No, wrong one. The one in the first one on the left, Andre. First one. Right. So that's us. We took a nice little picture, as we did. A lot of these young men, I'm just telling you, yes, that one, Andre. And a lot of these young men, they were tough. They were tough, but they came to Mr. Daly and they hung out with Mr. Daly. I was telling people, when you're the dean of the school, right? When you're the dean of your school, you meet everyone, right? You meet everyone. You get to know everybody if you're doing what you're supposed to do. If you're the principal of your school or the dean of your school, right? You're supposed to meet all of your students, all of your the faculty, the building, know the nooks and cranny. Sometimes knowing a kid is not well, as you can see, Erd was, was a happy-go-lucky guy, right? Yeah, that's him. So kind of cool, and so very interesting. As a matter of fact, the other kid in the red shirt actually went to the military, and we worked from there. I thought I just turned it down, so I'm gonna have to hide.
Yes, mute yourself, please. Thank you.
Yes, I know. I'm trying to. It's your fault. I don't know how to mute myself. That's on you.
A question from Stargirl. What school did he attend?
Prospect Heights.
Okay.
He attended Prospect Heights. And then he went on to college, College of Staten Island, where he played basketball for a little bit as well. So I'm very upset. I was just saying to Andre earlier, I don't know if you got a chance to put it out there, but I wonder. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to a friend of mine. John knows her. John knows him. Yeah, I was talking to Leslie Clark. John, you know who that is?
You're muted, John.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was talking to Leslie, Mr. Clark earlier, and we were just talking about. Then they said we should do a national directory, right? A national directory, not a national, but a local directory on people with mental illnesses. And Andre, did we ever get the chance to put that survey out?
So let me explain why I thought it was a mental health issue. Um, because when we were having the discussion, the scenario was that the police came across a young man, a gentleman who had a knife, who was holding up a knife, but it was a kitchen knife, a small kitchen knife, and that they weren't sure. They spoke to him several times. He didn't acknowledge them. He went into the train station. They had made a report when they approached him, 4 o'clock in the morning, carrying a kitchen knife, um, a small paring knife. Yes, it is dangerous, but not too many people would be doing that 4 o'clock a.m. in the cold. So, and it was freezing at 20 something degrees weather. So I knew something, either you snap, either something to that extent, because you're not going to be standing outside in the freezing cold, 20 something degrees, just holding a knife. So right then and there, it was an indicator to me, something triggered this individual to go that route. And when I mention mental health, you're like, ah, Joanne, you always assume that. But no, 4 o'clock in the morning is very early, and 20 degrees is something else too. So that was my right then and there. And unfortunately, I was correct about the mental health issue, but we have to take back, it's closer to the holidays, and it's also anything. People not working, COVID again. People are starting to go back inside, and any little thing is a trigger right now. So we are walking on pins and needles with individuals who are about to burst at the seam to say, hey, they're going to be put on lockdown again. China is just put on lockdown today. So people are afraid of going back to what was last year. And you know, it's to be expected that, you're going to have some people who are a little off. So, yes, I agree with you, Star Girl. This was a sad situation. And like
No,
I mentioned, that 10 rounds in an individual is a lot. There are different ways in handling situation. And I don't think that we're all prepared to deal with the amount of mental health issues that we have in the
you
city.
know, so far, a small sample size, but everybody so far said yes. They had a vigil for him on Tuesday, which I attended. So I just in Stargirl's comment. I went to the vigil on Eastern Parkway between Utica and Schenectady,
Mhm.
1090, over there. I went to the vigil. It was so sad. Uh,
Of
to
course, a
see,
young person.
he was only 26. I'm not sure. I know he graduated 8 years ago, so it is feasible that he's 26 years old. But I know that he's mid 20s. So that was very sad. Hey, John, we didn't say welcome. What's going on?
Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Just listening to the dialogue, and you talk about the young man, but mental health, those issues are so prevalent in
Mhm.
our community that we tend to, it's like taboo if you even want to talk about that. So, it's unfortunate, but hopefully this can turn the light on to dealing with mental health and the impact that it can have uh, on those individuals, not only on them, but their families. And to really just take the precautionary measures when they see it. Don't try to avoid the issue. Just try to tackle it head on, so we can avoid situations like this.
Yeah, yeah, trauma,
It's,
and
trauma, yes.
so different form of trauma will actually cause you to go into a stage of mental health.
But you
You
know
know,
what trauma is?
What's trauma? Tell us.
Trauma is.
That trauma yet. Don't say. Don't go to that. Finish up this thought.
Let me tell you what trauma is.
Yeah. No, I was just thinking about the question. Going back to this young man, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to mental health, one of the issues that we have as Blacks, we don't address it.
That's true.
And I'm not gonna put nobody on the spot because I don't know whether or not the parent did or did not. But we, as culturally speaking, look at cultural. I look at mental health, just like we look at wills and testimony and life insurance. As somebody's trying to kill you, that it doesn't happen within the Black community. If you say somebody you do the will and say, "Oh, I'm not leaving no will because I don't want nobody think you try to kill me off and take what little I have," or those kind of things. So I'm just gonna say, people out there, carrying the subject, but people out there, if you know there's a mental health issue, stop pretending like things don't exist. Stop going to the bush doctor. Or I see, one time somebody has a seizure in church and the person started praying, say, "God, take the devil out of the person," while the person's having a seizure. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, no, it's not the devil, it's a seizure. So the person needs medical assistance and they're not demonic.
You know what? And it is good nowadays. It's good to talk about going to a therapist or seeing, speaking about some of the things that you have built up, being able to address different ways, going to counseling. I am big on believing in counseling overall because you know what? Sometimes you need to be able to talk it out. So that's important.
Yeah, and talking out with somebody who understands.
Yes.
More, right. Understand more than you, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, John left. So we can talk about something else until he comes back.
I didn't leave. I'm listening to you loud and clear, man.
So what are you angry about?
I'm not angry. I am. All right. This may be a little controversial.
Oh boy.
You, John? I thought it was only me.
Oh boy. You see, I said, oh boy.
I think the jury got it wrong on the Potter case.
We're gonna come back to that. Because after
I think can I finish, Doctor? Can I finish, Doctor? I'm the one who brought it up. Thank you. I think the jury got it wrong in that case. I think they felt the pressure from society. I think they really got it wrong.
I disagree. I completely disagree with you, but I'm going to argue with you at another time.
Why we got to argue at another time? Let's do it right now.
No. We have a guest coming on, so we actually.
Oh, you want your guest to save you from getting whipped with your argument?
No, not at all. Because I could hold my own. It's not a problem.
So let's go for it then.
No. Anyway, I think overall, the reason why I disagree with you, one part is.
Oh, see, now you're going to talk about it. I can't talk about it, right? Right. Go ahead, Dr. Bryant.
So, I'm going to tie it to the part where greetings, Simone, greetings. I would tie it to the part of trauma. After seeing what transpired last year with the Black Lives Matter, with the shooting and the killing of so many of our own, it could be black on black crime, it could be police brutality or whatever.
Right.
We become not
immune.
No. Yes and no. But it is trauma for us. It's just like added trauma over and over again. So just watching the video of this young man trying to get away, another.
But why was he trying to get away?
Anyway, he didn't commit a crime.
Why was he trying to get away?
Okay, John, like I said to you, we're going to talk about this at another time. later on.
You see, John, Joanne thinks in my purview, and she's gonna have to correct me if I'm wrong. The crime doesn't warrant the action, not looking at what escalates the action to begin with. So right? So at the end of the day, the police is not justified in shooting the guy for a thing that he
Right.
could have overlooked. But she's not looking at the fact that there was a crime committed and it escalated because the guy was driving off. Now,
It was a violation. So you know what? It was a violation. It wasn't a crime. It was a violation. My whole point to that is that the question was it a mistake? Did the woman was she reckless?
right, like as in the George Floyd case.
Reckless.
What would her sentence be different if she was a black female officer?
You don't know that.
You don't know that. You're speculating, Dr. Bryant.
I'm not
unless she was facing that judge in Louisiana.
True.
Right. Then definitely will be different. Let's bring the guest on, Andre. All right.
So we have Apostle Earlie James, who is on. John, mute yourself, please. Thank you. Who will be Apostle? Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So,
Robust dialogue.
Coming from Pennsylvania, we have our Pennsylvania family on. So I'm excited to introduce Apostle because I have a special tie to him. This is my pastor. So I am very thrilled to have him on.
Apostle, I must tell you, we rarely see Dr. Bryant this excited. So we are
that no mind to him. He is lying on air. And this is, you know what? It's okay.
Wow, that is hilarious.
But Apostle, I never said she was never excited. I said she's rarely this excited.
False.
Right?
False.
What? All right. So welcome, Apostle. Welcome
Thank
to the
you.
show.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Look at that. Roderick is telling the truth to see.
Wait.
I know that I'm a pastor's son. I tell people I never lie, so don't worry about that.
Understood.
I'm not gonna today.
No. Be careful what you just said, my friend.
What? That I never lie?
Yes.
Well, not to my knowledge when I'm lying. If I'm saying it is the truth, I do withhold information. That I do. If you want to call that lying, then
that's a lie.
I don't know, Apostle. Is withholding information really lying?
Yeah.
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 I don't know about that. Sometimes somebody talks too much.
I get that.
Right.
I get it.
You give out more than you're asked to give. Now, if you leave out pertinent information, right? Remember, when you go to court and if you understand, they go, did this happen? They didn't ask yes or no. Right? And you give your answer. So you cannot force somebody to be incriminating. But anyway, we're just talking about my former student, Pierre. I don't know if you heard some of that conversation.
I did.
About the young man that was, he was killed by police. He was an adult. 26 years old, according to the news. But I know he was either 26, 27, so he wasn't much older than that anyway. With the mental health issues. And you are deeply concerned about mental health.
Absolutely.
especially in young people.
Absolutely.
So let's tell us a little bit about you first, and then we get to your tie with the mental health. Just talk about
Okay.
who you are and everything else.
Absolutely. So, Apostle Earlie James Jr., I pastor Liberty Temple Philly West Church in Philadelphia, obviously, and been here pastoring for 15 years. And my mission in life is to help individuals understand who they are, why they're here, what they're called to do, um, to help them to overcome life traumas, develop competencies that enable them to release their voice, find their creative genius, and live the life that they're meant to live. And that's essentially, what I tell people about myself, in terms of just kind of in a quick elevator speech. But when we talk about, the subject matter of trauma, we can get into some of those other specific things.
Yeah, I don't worry. I could go whoop whoop too about Philly. I went to school in Philly, not
There you
Philly.
go.
You know,
Understand.
I went to I went to school. I don't know how out there in West Philly.
Okay. Yeah. That's why we're Philly West. Yep. So it's in West
Um,
Philadelphia. Yeah.
Ardmore. I went to school in Ardmore.
And Ardmore. Yeah, absolutely. That's right around my area in
Yeah,
terms of where we live.
I went to
I
Haverford.
will I will add one caveat. I am not from Philadelphia. I am originally born and raised in Chicago. So I was
Chi-town.
in Chicago. Yeah. So I was in Chicago until late 30s and then transitioned to Philadelphia.
All right, that's all right. I
Yeah.
like Chicago too. North side
Yeah.
or south
I was on the South Side, Hyde
side?
Park
Okay.
area. Yep.
Wait, which one is south side? Chicago Cubs or Chicago White Sox?
Chicago White Sox, the South Side. Chicago Cubs are in the North.
Okay, all right. I was trying to
Yeah.
remember because I was actually trying to get a game at Wrigley when I was out there.
Okay. Yeah. So that's North Side, near
Uh,
North.
I don't remember where I stayed, but I know I stayed in the center of town, and I tried to go on both sides.
Nice.
So you've written a couple of books.
Yeah.
Uh,
And your
talk
latest one is a children's book.
Yeah. 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 So, yeah, this is number 8 in the books. We have written 3 books on trauma, for the adult population. But then more recently, we went into the children's market, obviously, because you can't really have a robust discussion around trauma without talking about how trauma impacts a community. So if you have a child that's going through trauma, that impacts the mother and father or whoever the caretakers are, and anyone who interacts with that child. Um, and so we decided to go into the children's market because we recognize that children are a part of that community and are deeply impacted when they may have parents who may be suffering from life traumas.
Now, what inspired you to actually write this book?
Well, this book was written 18 years ago, believe it or not, along with 3 other children's books as well. The inspiration came from being in a retail establishment, was checking out, and there was a mom and a little boy there with a gentleman. And long story short, they were in a verbal altercation. The gentleman leaves out. The little boy looks up to his mom and says, does he have to come home with us this weekend? Um, and her reply to him was, it's going to be a long weekend. And so she just kind of, just told her it's going to be a long weekend, and they finished checking out and they left. And that really caused like an explosion to take place on the inside of me because I was already impacted by the child's response, of does he have to come, implying that there's not much of a relationship there at all. So I don't assume that that was his dad. But the response was more concerning to me from the standpoint that the best that we could to speak to that question was we just need to get through the weekend. It's just going to be a long weekend. So that's where the inspiration came from, because at that point I realized that this young man, this little boy, was struggling with a relationship that he was very uncomfortable with. And, he wasn't in a position where he had used his voice to say that he was uncomfortable with the gentleman. But what happens when a child uses their voice and asks for help? And the best response that we can give them is it's going to be a long weekend. So that's really where the inspiration for Don't Tell came from. I don't know that the specific nature of the story is that child's actual, or was his actual circumstance, but it was the catalyst that started the idea.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. I would say that working in the school system, and this pandemic that just took place last year and we're still going through,
Still
would
in, yeah.
would you say that you believe there's a connection between abuse, child abuse, and overall COVID?
Yeah, I do. I'm asked that on a regular basis, and I do believe, while I don't believe that the pandemic, which I know we all agree to, was not the source
Right.
of child abuse, it is definitely something that exacerbated the issue. And when you consider the fact that you have 233 million adults, or 70% of our adult population in America, who have experienced one or more traumatic events in their life.
Mhm.
So we have more adults that have experienced trauma than adults who have not. Then you have 35% or 35 million children, or 33% of children in America who have experienced one or more traumatic events in their life. And the caveat to that is this was prior to the pandemic. So when you look at an already existing issue around trauma being very prevalent, especially in our community, and then you have the pandemic, which puts down, the lockdowns, and now people are forced to be at home. You have children that are being forced to be in online learning, where they may have had that outlet from getting away if they were living inside of a toxic environment. You
Right.
can only see that that's the recipe for, a much larger issue. And I think that a lot of the things that you brought up that were taking place last year, especially in the heart of the lockdown that we were experiencing, was really just that expression. And just take a look finally at when things opened up earlier this year and people started to travel. And all of a sudden, we had people that were on airlines, and they were, having altercations with, the flight staff and things of that
Yes.
nature. So, a lot of these things were just things that were just brewing because they were already existing issues that were taking place inside of people. So, yes, I do believe that there is a connection to that. And, I would not be surprised. I know that there was a rise in counseling sessions from a spiritual standpoint on my side. There were children that were struggling during the pandemic and who behavior started to act out, which were really just the indicator that there were other things that were taking place inside of that.
The sad part about this situation, when you look at the pandemic and you look at abuse, is that you're now home. You're now home with your predator, right?
Right.
For whatever
Right.
whatever that abuse is. So when you look at the pandemic, parents have to be more, and sometimes you get a little bit more laxed, right? You get a little more lax with people around your children.
I agree.
Who's there. It's funny. We had a guest on, a Dr. Walker Descartes, and she was talking about abuse and specifically sexual abuse. And I actually now had to look at my 6-year-old son and his interaction with other people, and
absolutely,
I started to curtail that. Let's go back over to you spoke about trauma and how it can manifest itself into mental health and mental abuse crisis, right? Tell us, in your experience, the connection. You spoke about losing a mom, losing somebody. Let's talk to the artists and tell them what can cause some of these changes within our young people. Not just young people. You threw some numbers out there.
Just individuals. Yeah, I hear you.
What and try to make that connection, because sometimes, you know, one of the things that we were just talking about before you got on was, especially people of color, black people, black and brown people, we don't believe. One, we're always looking at let's pray, and prayer will heal all things, right? Which I believe that prayer will heal all things, but I look at it very differently. I look at prayer heals all things because it gives you the ability to get an answer that you're looking for, to let you go to. So talk about the need for counseling and how trauma affects people, not just through the religious perspective, but also through the therapeutic and the psychological approach as well.
Absolutely. So I think where it's healthy to start is, what is trauma, right? And so when we talk about what trauma is, in a simple definition, it is a deeply distressing and disturbing experience, all right, to an individual. So anything that could be deeply distressing and disturbing. And so we talked about earlier on, what are some of those things that can cause trauma? Racism, physical, emotional, sexual, spiritual abuse. You have poverty, you have debt, you have, loss of a relationship, loss of a job, or just a loss of an individual, period. So there's a lot of or life-altering things that have taken place. We had terrorism, which in the early 2000s, and things of that nature. So there's a lot of contributions, things that contribute to what trauma is. Yeah.
But also, what can contribute to that is the discipline that takes place within the household when children misbehave. And
correct.
How do you, to some that could be a traumatic, because to me it was traumatic, because I used to get whipped all the time and it was so traumatic to me.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But they my parents ain't believe in that. They just said, God can't save you now.
Yeah.
Spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah.
There's no rod. Yeah, I was listening to two things last night. On my way home. I'm an avid domino player. I just got to throw that in there, because so I was out late playing dominoes. Got my butt handed to me. Well, my team. I didn't. My team lost. But I was coming home and I was listening to CNN on Sirius XM.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the story, right, where the young woman came on, and she was going through some kind of psychological issues.
Yeah.
I don't know how long ago it happened, or I didn't hear the whole story. But apparently a serial killer came to kill them.
Yeah.
And when the serial killer came to kill them, something spoiled it for him. So he had already fantasized about how he was going to do this act. And what he did was he left that young lady who was giving her testimonial and went to somebody else and killed these three people.
Yeah.
And for her, she had that abuse, mental, psychological abuse, that said these people's lives were lost instead of mine.
Yeah.
Because he was coming for me.
Yeah.
So that was one case. And I was talking to a friend of mine today, and we're discussing. It's funny because we're comparing who was the most abused when they were kids. Like what John was saying, right?
I won that title.
No, I don't know,
You
John.
won.
I don't know, but between the three of us, John, I don't know. But we were talking about that, and the impact that it has had on her life, my life, John's life. Like we look at it differently. You're right. You know what I'm saying? Like but what you deal with people. So talk about the growth process when you deal with that trauma, because a lot of these trauma return. I don't know if I'm looking for the right word, and help me out
Yeah,
here.
I get you. I get
Adults
you.
go back and
Yeah.
start performing because it was the acceptable behavior when they were mentally, physically abused, and what that looks like. And as you talk about the don't tell, right?
Yeah.
Because
So, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Let
Oh,
me
I
I
got
finish.
it.
want to add on to that.
Hmm.
So, what are some, you're saying later on, but what are some key indicators? For example, in the book, um, the little boy, you was explaining that the little boy was saying, do this person have to come with us? What are
Yeah.
some key indicators that young people, or some ways that young people can actually notify their parents to let them know that something's happening, or telltale sign for parents to pay attention? And what's the age for the book as well?
Okay. So the age of the book is from ages 6 to 12. And so when you talk about one of the heavy messages in this particular book is about using your voice and teaching children how to use their voice. And again, we're talking to two specific segments of children. One, we're talking to that, 67% of children who have not experienced a traumatic event. They've grown up in quality homes and things of that nature, and or single parent homes, whatever that may be. But they're not familiar with that. They have not had that. So for that group, this using your voice is more about developing a blueprint so that if a toxic interaction happens, this is what you do. Then there's the 33% who we know who has experienced a trauma, whether that was molestation or growing up in an abusive home, as John was alluding to, or having these type of interactions. And we know culturally, most of the culture in our community was, whatever's done at home stays at home. So there's a lot of things that a lot of things were embedded in us that we were told not. That's a form of saying, don't tell my business, right?
Right.
That's taking place at home. But using your voice takes 4 steps, and it's really simple. Number one, we have to teach children how to relax, to breathe, and to capture their thoughts, right? And think about, which is step two, thinking about what is it that you want to say. And we literally walk them through. We have a discussion guide. We walk them through what that actually looks like, all right? The third step of that is identifying who do you trust, because we want children to know in advance, who is it that I feel, who creates that safe space for me? Is it a parent? Is it an uncle? Is it a godparent? Whatever that may be, or coach, what have you. But who is it that I trust in advance? And then the key is this, the segue in step four, to say, tell them. And so where do I start when something has happened in my life and I don't know what to do with this particular thought? And you're talking to an individual who was molested, right? Or the gentleman attempted to molest it, but I got away. And so the fact of the matter was that when that happened to me, I was in shock
Mhm.
because it came from a person who I respected.
Right.
It came from a person who was in a position of power. It came to a person who, the person that I
You
looked
know,
up to. And so when you have that, when you have that particular thing, what does a child do? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't do anything.
so
I didn't
I want to
say
go back to
anything.
something you
My
said.
parents never knew, they never knew about that. And
Mhm.
so that's something that I think also is the inspiration behind, I don't want children to have my story or to have
I
my
want to go back to
experience,
something
right?
you
Where it
said.
pairs lives. Yeah.
I want to go back to something you said because you said it so fast,
Yeah.
and I want to go back to that.
Hmm.
When it comes to abuse, the belief of power and somebody you trust,
Yeah.
right? You spoke about that, but you went over that. Why is it so important? Because sometimes, and what you find also in families is like, I don't believe the kid.
Yeah.
I have to
Mhm.
believe the adult
Absolutely.
because
Exactly.
you as an adult put that person in a position of power and a position of trust as well,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? And you don't want to believe because your image of that person.
Right. Change.
I can't tell you the number of people who are adults who may be in the mental health profession and who grew up in families where something like that happened and they were encouraged not to read to, are you sure? It was kind of like an interrogation. Are you sure? Because it was an
Yeah.
uncle. or was an aunt, or something like that. And so I truly believe, when we're talking about, and we're using a lot of terms here tonight, when we talk about child abuse, we're talking about maltreatment of a child and also sexual abuse, all right, that may take place, or molestation that takes place with the child. And so if a child is encouraged by people who they respect, and they're going through this interrogation process in terms of, okay, I've told you because you were the first person that came to mind, and then now I'm being made to feel like I should not have brought this up, right? Or are you sure that happened, right? Well, that's just like taking them through a deeper level of trauma. Okay,
Yeah.
because you've already suffering from the issue itself, and then now I have to go through
But
this
no,
process. You
yeah,
understand what I'm
don't,
saying? And so what it does is it subliminally encourages children not to tell going forward,
yeah,
right? And so those individuals carry those toxic interactions and behaviors into adult life.
it
And
makes the
later
child,
on,
it makes the child two things. One, it puts the child in a state of denial, like this really didn't
Right,
happen. It's my
right,
imagination. And two,
exactly.
which is even equally as worse, is this is an acceptable behavior.
It is, right. And that's
And
what we teach them. So if
yeah,
they see it again in the future, or worse, become that in the future because we somehow normalize what has
mhm,
taken place because we don't want to reveal this particular person or whomever it is because we have connections to them, then it just sends it. And you have so many children that are growing up and they have daddy and mama issues, right? And the reason that they have these issues is because they were discouraged to tell, right?
mhm,
Because of who it was that they were telling on in that particular aspect of it. So when we talk about these things and the impact that it has, this is the reason why we started with this particular product, because we wanted to introduce the idea to our community that
mhm,
we are really injuring our children, right? When we are putting them through this particular situation, when we don't create that safe space for them, or we subliminally teach things to protect the family, teach them things that are really toxic that they carry over and then repeat generationally. So we definitely wanted to start with this, in terms of addressing this. And that's what the little boy's struggle is in the story. He's telling his mom over and over again, why do I have to go with him? Do you have to leave me with him? These are just some of the things that he's saying in the story, and she's so busy trying to, and she means well, but she's so busy trying to create a relationship between her child and this gentleman, not
mhm,
realizing that she's pushing him into the arms of her predator.
mm.
And
And
so
that's so
he
sad.
has to work through that in this story, right? Because he's threatened him. He's told him, do not tell her, or something can happen to the both of you. And so now this child has to work with that fear, managing all of that, and then still develop a tactic to be able to let his mom know, the thing that we have in the story, which we say there's something mommy does not know about him. And so that's what the child is saying. He's, there's something he doesn't know about him. And so he decides to write a letter to his mom, who reads it, and that's what brings about the change. But how many children don't possess that intestinal fortitude, right? They become discouraged by the fact a very significant person to whom they respect
Mhm.
does not believe their story,
Yeah,
right? Now, what does that do? Some children may not do what this child in the book did. And that's why we're putting this together, so that we can teach them what to do, right? So that we don't carry those problematic behaviors into another generation.
that's true. That is true. Hmm.
um, where was that, Doc? Um,
Yes.
I'm sorry, not Doc. Pastor Apostle.
Uh-huh.
It seems ironic to call the book "Don't Tell."
I know, yeah, yeah,
If you want children to speak up,
yeah.
would it make sense instead to rename it "Speak Up" or "Don't Tell"?
Yeah, no, you're not the first person that's asked me that, but you don't have a copy of the book, do you?
Not yet,
You
no.
have, yeah, because if you look on the back of it, it says tell. So don't tell is there because, no, to your point, and it's a great question, because I wrestled with that when, I'm putting the title to it, like, okay, what are you going to call it? Right. And it's gone through like 3 different name changes before I settled on this one. And so what we decided to do was don't tell is what people are used to being told. But what we
That's
really want to take them on a journey to is to get to the place where they do tell, right? And what does using my voice actually mean, and how do I get to that place? So it's a great question, but it's don't tell is kind of, to be honest with you, is kind of the hook, because a lot of people really are used to that, right? And so, well, what am I not telling? When you see an image of a mother and a child on the front, and they look like they have a very healthy relationship, right?
Mhm.
So why would it be don't tell until you actually get into the story and you realize that, okay, now I understand, because this young boy's experience is every family's experience. How many of us as parents have overlooked cues that our children were sending us?
That's true.
And it may not have gone this deep into it where it led to something, that happened that in the form of a trauma. But how many times have we misunderstood communications that were coming from our family? So
Mhm.
what we get into in here is about also addressing open and honest communication, and what does that look like in our community, right? And across the board, but especially in our community, what does an open and honest communication between a parent and a child actually look like? How can I be a better parent in terms of reading those cues? I heard you talk about, how you were with your son, and keep in mind, you and I have the same story, because I was a single dad after my first wife died in 1999. And so I'm not going to lie to you. I was paranoid with placing my child with people.
Mhm.
I was very eclectic about who I left my child with, because I understood, because he was at a child at 2 years old. He didn't know how to really talk. So I'm like, how
Right.
would he let me know? Right. So I had to be very, very specific in terms of who saw him, but it really helped me to kind of develop a very tight knit community of people who I trusted. But then there were also checks and balances that came along with that to ensure that the safety that he had with me, he also had in those other environments when he could not be with me.
Now you mentioned the you have a workbook to go
Yeah.
along with it. How
Well,
does
that's with the workbook is with the adult version. So the adult
there's a
book that we
adult
have is stuck. There's a workbook for that. What I have for the children's book is a discussion guide. And so that discussion guide is what accompanies, the book, especially when it's placed inside of the settings that we target. But in that discussion guide, there's a section that helps parents, because some of the questions that we ask the parents are trying to identify parents who may be struggling with trauma and has never been addressed.
okay.
So we ask them very specific, specific questions like, when you've experienced a life trauma in your life, who is
Mhm.
it that you go to for help?
Mhm.
And through that discussion, we can begin. Why? Because it was designed by mental health professionals, because our goal was to include the parents in this process as we're starting to educate the children. So when they're having this open discussion, they can ask the parents these types of questions. And hopefully, what we identify is if there is a parent who has experienced a traumatic event and they never got help for that, right?
Mhm.
Then we can point them to these are some of the things that you can do in order for you to be able to address some of those things that you are challenged with. Um, and then we get into the discussions around the book in the discussion guide, but then there's also things related to the children. And one of the things that we do, just really quickly, and I'll give it back to you, is that when we talk about who do you trust, well, that's a great question, and it seems like a simple step, but we take a deeper dive into it when it comes to kids. And so, for example, we ask the question, what does it mean to trust someone? Because what we have to do is identify the child's comprehension of
Mhm.
what we mean when we say, who do you trust? So we want them to know, what does trust mean to you? And then when we talk about that, what does the word secret mean to you? Where in your body are you experiencing pain? These are the type of questions that we kind of bring it down to a lower common denominator, because we're talking to kids that may be 6 years old, up until 12 years old. And so we want them to know that. And then who are some of the people that you trust to tell your secrets to? So these are just some of the questions that we have in there that are targeted to children, that are targeted to facilitators who may be mental health professionals and leading this discussion with children, or to the parents themselves?
Yeah, Doc, but I'm listening to what you're saying,
Yeah,
Pat, and it seems to be a heavy, heavy burden on the family nucleus and also the child.
yeah,
And if you think about this, is deep rooted uh back to when we were in chains.
yeah,
And that trauma, the things that we did to compensate or to handle that situation we were faced in when we were coming across on those ships,
yeah,
which now plays a prevalent role into the character, spiritual, and moral development of our children, of our family in and of itself. And our inability to not only recognize but to accept it and to understand that we need help.
yeah,
And I think that's one of the biggest problems. We can't acknowledge that we need help
right.
because it's sort of like
Not only
that's
us, but our children, because we went through it. So can they? They should be strong.
Yeah. You know what? I actually experienced something. I'm cautious about how I say it. There's several things. So when you notice that kids are starting to um do certain things that they typically wouldn't at what age? At 7 years old, they're
Yeah,
using the restroom as though, hey, you know what? It doesn't, I'm not gonna even get to the bathroom. I'm just gonna do it wherever possible.
yeah,
Right then and there, I know that something's not right.
right.
Because and if it's happening multiple times, you know, um, as an individual, that's a red flag. And
what do you
when you
mean by that? What do you mean by that, Doc? Because the person may pee on themselves, or is
oh,
that what you're talking about?
not only pee, where
Defecate on themselves? What are
yes,
you talking about?
several times,
They
and
they, they need
well,
John's parents, but they'll
children.
need John's parents, Joanne. They'll need John's parents.
No, no, no. But when it's hey, you're not even embarrassed about it, and you're just hey, whatever. For me, that's a sign that something is happening at home when it's
Yeah,
happening multiple times, and that's an indicator that for me that it could be a little more than just not being able to use the bathroom or whatever, but more sexual, and especially if it is a child who is going from home to home. Um,
Mm,
I-
interesting. It's interesting that you come
what
up with that sort of conclusion. Interesting.
I was thinking
past
that too.
why? Why is that?
Like
Because
you know what I find interesting.
mhm,
I and I don't know if you. I'm just saying. I'm having a lot of these conversations with females,
mhm.
and one thing I find interesting is the biggest one that females talk about is sexual abuse.
Mm,
Um,
No, I'm not saying that I
no,
didn't say
no, I'm just saying because you brought it up, right?
mhm.
You brought it up, and I noticed that. And that's and I'm
And
wondering.
that's from a little boy. That's not from a
No, but
little
I'm saying my wondering is
girl. Mhm.
since females no, are notorious,
Really?
negatively speaking, for
Mm.
being sexually abused, do they look at sexual abuse first before they look at any other kind of abuse? Like you spoke about neglect, mental abuse, physical abuse, right? Because females, I don't know. I'm just saying, but I know I've spoken to a lot of females and they go right to sexual abuse, right
Okay.
to it.
So here is
Now,
something.
I was asking Apostle Earl to talk about his experience.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that, two things when I listen to the dialogue, and I understand, everyone's position, because I think that each one of them speak to, um, a different perspective. Like, for instance, what John was talking about, which I think is important, because, as you know, when we look at the impact that that trauma has had on us culturally, and how that impacts every single generation. If you're talking to my grandmother, who's long gone now, but raising 16 children by herself,
Mm,
because the man left the home,
mm,
and them being familiar with picking cotton.
mm,
And
Mhm.
or you talk to my dad's generation, who's he's 91 years old soon to be, and they've had to deal with Jim Crow, and they
mm,
had to deal with all of these different things. And so, and today we're having the conversations around social justice and things like that. So I think as you look at each individual generation, although people are not physically on ships, there's still a connection between all of that, and it's just it's presented differently to each into each generation. Now, what people have to understand about trauma is trauma impacts you spiritually, trauma impacts you emotionally, trauma impacts you chemically, and trauma impacts you physically. All right. And so what we have to understand is that, and I believe Roger had talked about this earlier, if we focus only on the spiritual element and we ignore the mental aspect of it, right? Because what happens is, from a spiritual element, just to kind of make it very simple for people, you go to church, they pray over you, it may lead to a deliverance or whatever it is, in dealing with that from a spiritual standpoint. The person still has to have someone to walk with them to teach them how to think healthy again.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
from my perspective, as a person who has experienced both spiritual and professional counseling, that's where the two work hand in hand. All right. And so, because I believe both for some people are necessary, because they may need to understand what it's like to have a strategy about going throughout a day and not having a toxic thought, or what happens when I have a toxic thought that brings anxiety and leads to a panic attack. Right. So these are the things that, from a professional standpoint, dealing with a licensed therapist, you can see the benefit to that. Now, no, what you had talked about earlier, Dr. Joanne, around the sexual abuse, as we talked about, or just using that as an example, is what I heard you doing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that there are all of these other contributory factors that we had talked about. So let's talk about food insecurity.
mm,
Let's
mm.
talk about poverty and how that may lead to that example of something that you just talked about, where you may have a child wetting themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be sexual abuse. It may be the stress of dealing with food insecurity. It may be the stress of dealing with poverty and how it's impacted their particular family. It may
Right.
be the stress of the violence in the community that is causing this child to have these type of anxieties that lead to this thing that takes place. So that is why I believe, and I'm grateful today that there is a start with having mental health professionals connected to the school systems and counselors that are connected to the school systems, because to some degree, some of the children may never even get that step. They may never have a parent to actually take them to that next step, because they may not see the value in, mental health, counseling and things like that. So having therapists and counselors connected to the school can at least start the conversation. And one of the things that I hear on a regular basis when it comes to, because I have a very deep community around network of people and therapists and things like that, because of the nature of the work that we do.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting about it is the challenge of working with the parent to say, hey, this is what we're noticing,
Mm.
right? This is what we're noticing. This is what you need to do. We recommend this. And the parents said, no, that's not that. No, I don't see that. Right. Because this is real. This is real for our community. And so what happens when the child is in the care of someone who is not willing to accept what they're actually dealing with, right? And that's why I'm saying we have to approach this from a community standpoint instead of just segmented into. That's why we have products for the adults, we have products for that, and then after we take them through, a program, then we can then refer them to mental health professionals if that's what the next step is, because we see ourselves as the bridge between where a person is and where they need to be. So that's why I think all of you all speak to an actual challenge in the community, just coming from a different perspective. But all of those things are contributory factors as to traumas that are suffered in our community.
Right. Where can we purchase some of the products, especially the adult one?
Yeah, so the adult one is called Stuck, the Road to Experiencing a Successful Recovery. And we literally walk people through. We have a book, we have a workbook, we have an ebook, we have an online course. There's a lot with that particular one. It is the most developed product because we were deeply invested in that. All of those things are found on Amazon, but you can go to my website at earlyjames.com and learn about our course called Living Beyond Trauma. And that's the one for the adults. And you can also learn about Don't Tell. All of that is on our main page, and you can go there, and there's a lot of subsequent information that's there, inclusive of if they want to move to purchasing the book. I did not say this earlier, but I'll say this for the sake of time, that we target and have been working with and building relationships. It's only been out since October. So we have been reaching out to school systems. And so we are starting with, mental health professionals that are connected to the school systems. You have anywhere where children are, you have churches, you have group homes. We're working with group homes. We're also reaching out to learning centers and after school programs. Anywhere where these children are, we want to help put a product like this in their particular hands. So if you want to be connected to the Don't Tell community, just go to earlyjames.com and you'll have everything you need to know, inclusive of purchasing the book as well.
Great.
I want you to finish with a bang.
You want to finish with a bang?
No. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking as you're talking about the workshop.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Why is mental health so important, especially for young people? Let's finish that. Why? What are, we never touch, what are some of the hazards that in your experience that it can lead to? I mean, we heard about the suicide, we heard about that, but that's just one extreme, right? What are some of the things that happens? And then, Andre, he has it up already, earlyjames.com.
Yeah, I didn't put it there, so somebody else put it out there already. Thank you, John. So, but here's the thing. Well, thank you. So, but here's the thing. So, what I think that this really boils down to is talking about having quality interpersonal relationships.
Right.
Now, if we can build quality interpersonal relationships, we can live the life that we were meant to live. I think about on a regular basis how many people were born and went to the grave, and we never knew what they came to deposit.
True.
Because they were shackled from the start, born into certain situations that were traumatic and problematic. And so all they ever knew was trauma. And so my point is that we have to rethink and reimagine what equality interpersonal relationships actually look like, because that leads to a person being able to live a fulfilled life and live the life they were meant to live. If they do not have access to that, then what takes place is what I call cold cases. Now, everybody know what a cold case is, right? So these are the unsolved mysteries, cases that they could not solve in law enforcement, whatever it is. And so the file is just open. I believe we live our life like that. I believe that there are things that people go through that are open, unresolved issues that they never got resolution for. And they're told to man up, keep pushing, get over it, all of the things that we have said. And so when we do that, they carry these unresolved cold cases through their life until they get to a point where they run out of space. And these are the cases that we read about where someone goes into a company and just blows up the place or shoot everybody and things like this, because at that point they've checked out. but they were showing signs of that well before the case. So I'm saying that the worst aspect of it is that it could end up potentially bringing harm to other people, inclusive of the individual. So we have to talk about quality interpersonal relationships and how that leads to living a fulfilled life.
Excellent.
And generational. I think generational
Absolutely.
abuse, because if somebody doesn't address it, it just keeps going from one
It just
generation
keeps going. Absolutely. It just
like
keeps
John,
going. And it
like
becomes more pervasive, right?
yes,
And then it also, why? Because now we have the age of social media.
Yeah.
When we were all growing up, that wasn't the case.
Right.
So now we have people children filming their deaths on social media. So this is what happens as technology continues to grow, but mental health continues to worsen, right? Then it's only going to become more progressive as we move on in generations. So from a generation perspective, you're absolutely right.
Excellent. Thanks. Excellent.
So
Excellent.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you for coming on, addressing a lot of the concerns. You know, Don't Tell. It's on Amazon. It's on earlyjames.com. Right.
Yep.
You know, in Apostle Earlie James, I want to thank you for joining us today on The Village. And,
great discussion. Thank you all for the opportunity. I really
Thank you, Apostle. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Blessed night. John,
I'm
going to tell your mama, I'm going to tell your papa, I'm going to say you used to beat your backside, and how it has a mental block in your head. Mine too. Don't worry about it. Are you there?
I'm listening to your foolishness.
Yeah, you know, it's funny that, and I'm sure Joanne's parents believe in the same. It's like a West Indian thing. We don't believe in sparing the rod at all and spoiling the child. That's just not happening. And it's funny because,
but it's traumatic. It was traumatic as a child,
and it still is right now.
To get lashings like that, to be so young, to have whelps all over your body, just because you may have misbehaved. However, they need to do it more often.
I think
they need to discipline our children like that. You know, no more timeout. No more timeout. Go to the corner, and I'm taking things away from you.
My mama used to say, "But I am going to beat you, so the police officer doesn't beat you."
I hear that often. I do.
Oh,
I'm gonna fix you. I'm gonna fix you. Yeah, the girls will fix you. Yes.
Yes.
You hear that often.
Right. You know, my mama says, like, you can call the police, but you're going with them.
Wait. We're gonna go back about the police. John, go back to your controversy.
Oh, you want to jump in? Let's go.
I agree with John, by the way, but I'm listening.
Wait. That it was, she should not have been charged for murder.
She should not. No.
She should not have been convicted.
She should not have been convicted.
Explain.
She should have not been convicted because it was.
Wait, John. Before you explain, why you think she should have been convicted? Because we don't remember. No, she likes to be quiet, John. So we want to get it out of her.
No.
You agree, right? You know she's gonna be quiet.
No, I'm running.
Go back to you. Why you think?
Can you continue?
No.
You know, because I look at the situation. Was she negligent? Yes, she was negligent by using her gun instead of her taser. Was she reckless? Meaning that she was conscious. Because when you're reckless, you know that it's like somebody who goes to a bar and drinks and knows that they're intoxicated, but they then get into the vehicle to drive home. They're reckless because they're conscious of what they did at the time. There's a possibility that could lead into this. Negligent, yes, but she was not reckless because she was not conscious of what she actually did at the time, because she thought that it was a taser as opposed to a gun. And what to me corroborated that when she said taser, 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 meaning tase him. Her mindset was tase him, tase him, tase him. Her mindset wasn't, I'm going to shoot him. Her mindset was, I'm going to tase him. And everybody talks about her training. She had 26 years of training. Let me tell you something. There's a difference between a law professor teaching you in the classroom and a law professor actually going into the courtroom to perform his or her craft, because you are involved in a real life situation at that point in time. And all your teachings in the world, it's about the application. She had 26 years of experience, but she was never in a situation like that. You can have all the simulated situations that you can have, but no one can ever prepare you for when you get on the scene and in a moment's notice, something like that happens. So I think she was a victim of the environment, of what is going on in society. With that case is a case where this woman should not have been convicted.
Do you think she should have lost her job?
Of course she should have lost her job. Of course she should have lost her job. But her mistake, it was a mistake. Let's be blinded now. All right? Suppose this was a white child and a black woman who did that. Should she have been convicted under the same facts?
Who are you proposing that to? Me?
I'm proposing it to you.
A black woman and a white child. We have to look at how she responded after the fact. So
hold on.
Wait.
Hold on. You said how she responded after the fact.
Yes.
How did the white police officer respond?
She did not go and get help. She did not notify them right away that she shot this individual and he needed help.
There are other people there.
Hold on. Let her finish. Let the doctor finish.
She did not. So when they asked her, did you go out? Did you call for help for him? Did you try to do CPR? No. So
okay, hold on. We just finished with your pastor.
Okay.
What happened was a traumatic event just happened.
Okay.
26 years, I've never shot my gun. I never shot nobody. I never used the tape. I never used any of that. Oh my God. I just shot a young man when I was supposed to tase him. Oh my God.
Do you just walk away?
What you do is, she's a human being. She panicked. All the training in the world could not save her because this was a real life situation. And it was surreal to her. Oh my God. Her actions, it was simultaneous to what she did. It's a difference. She just freaked out because she knew what she did. It was she made a grave error. And she said, oh my God, I shot.
I have a question for Joanne, John. Are you upset because the guy was black?
No. I'm not upset because.
So no, but you did not answer the question when I said it was a black woman police officer and a white child.
I responded on what would be her response after.
That didn't answer the question, though.
I did answer the question.
No, did not answer the question, doctor.
On how she responded after shooting the individual.
There are other people there.
She responded. Hold on. The black police officer responded the same way the white police officer responded.
Then she should get convicted.
Of what?
Are you sure of your answer?
I am.
And why?
Because
why she hesitating? Notice, but you know what's interesting? Yeah, you might say yes now because now you thought about it. But I just want to point out to you that if we
The role was reversed, or the
if we rewound the tape, you paused.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
No.
What's a comment? What's there? Let me see. I can't bring it up, Andre.
Wait, who wrote the comment first of all?
No, not that one. Couple up. Wow, y'all quiet. There you go. Wow, y'all quiet.
Wait, who is it coming from?
Now Andre wrote it, but or somebody from our production team wrote it. But at the end of the day, it says, "Wow, you're all quiet" when John asked the question, because you didn't immediately say yes. You thought about it, and then 10 minutes later, you go, "Yeah."
No, I didn't wait 10 minutes. Please, you're exaggerating. Anyway,
Andre, wait, what time is it now? 8:31, and the comment was written 8:20. Okay, you waited 5 minutes. You waited 5 minutes. Call it that.
A few seconds,
right before you got to the guilty. And
But
John had.
But what I'm saying is, this was a split-second decision, and I would, if I was on the jury, I would have voted not guilty. I would have voted not guilty. And what got me was her reactions, her simultaneous reactions after it happened. She panicked. She showed
that she's human.
Exactly.
But
it wasn't the point where, like, you look at Derek Chauvin's case. She acknowledged, I made a mistake. Oh my God, I made a mistake. And I shot this guy. I didn't mean to shoot this guy. It was clearly an accident. And everybody says she has so much experience. There's a difference between experience, and there's a difference between the experience and the difference between the application of that experience in a real life situation, because she was nobody was prepared. This was a normal stop. It was a violation by a rookie cop. She wasn't even going to stop the vehicle. It was a rookie cop who said, stop the vehicle. So they go up to the car, and this happens. You're going up to the car, just routine violation. All of a sudden, all this transpires in a matter of seconds. You don't say, oh, my training is, I got to make sure I go. No, this side, you ain't got time to think about that. You react. She reacted. She said, tase, meaning her mindset was to tase him. That was her mindset, to tase him.
Minnesota overall, and they're the same one who in the last election tried to completely defund the police.
Of course.
So there's a Minnesota. By the way, Minnesota is one of the few states they elected Jesse Ventura, the wrestler, as a governor.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, Roderick. They have the right to vote. They elected him.
I'm not saying no. But think about it. What's the name of the Al Franken was a senator?
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
No, I'm just saying, like, it's a weird state.
It's okay.
I wouldn't say it's a weird state, man. People want to vote. They want to vote.
Exactly.
I think so. But I just strongly believe they were making an example of Kim Potter. And she became that example.
Yep, I agree.
Found her guilty because there was too much pressure not to. But I want to go on to Omicron. And the
hold on, boss. We're not finished yet to this. We got some more going on.
Go ahead.
What else?
We have some more going on.
Okay, tell me.
I am just that young New York City safety officer who was shot.
When was this?
Yesterday morning.
What are you talking about?
Astoria, Steinway, Astoria. She was 27 years old. She was shot.
Was she killed?
Her ex-boyfriend, present boyfriend, exchange, gunfire, and now a 7-year-old is without his mother.
What do you mean by exchange gunfire?
He had earlier that day. He came to the party with a gun. They didn't allow him in there, so he waited till they left at 4 a.m. And I guess they had some words, and everybody pulls out their guns. You know what? Whatever happened to just squaring off in the street like we used
They
to
don't
do?
have that anymore.
You
They
know
don't.
what I'm saying?
They don't have that.
Everybody thinks they
We
big
used
with their
to
gun.
fist to fist rubber dub. That fist to fist rubber dub don't exist anymore.
That's how we used to do. That's how we used to do it. Or we do a knife. We do a knife fight. But
this is
oh,
similar to the other case where the young lady who was pregnant, who had the baby shower,
yeah,
the ex-boyfriend popped up right after the baby shower. They're carrying the things inside the building, and he killed the lady and the baby. So, we're hearing more and more of these things. And even the police officer who killed the ex-girlfriend and then called to say she killed, people are losing it, unfortunately. And my thing is, there's so many other people that, if a relationship don't work out, leave it alone.
but it goes back to we don't know what kind of trauma
Right.
that they have went through and faced in their lives that put them to this position where they feel they have to resort to violence and take someone's life. When you can take someone's life without even thinking about it.
Even if you're thinking about it. Even if you're thinking about it.
Even if you're thinking about it.
Hey, what about think about that for a second, Joanne, where the Boston College young lady was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter for that young man that she sent text messages to for him to go kill himself.
Oh, she was found guilty?
That was a couple of years ago. Yeah.
2019, but it was found guilty today.
Oh, good.
Mental health is a serious issue, man.
Yeah. Because words hurt, and you don't know where people are.
It's funny to me when people say, "It's my mouth; I could say what I want."
But words are lasting.
But words can mean life. Words can mean life or death.
Yes,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
So that's why, we need to really understand the complexities that exist in our communities regarding mental health and the lack of support that exists in our communities. And is that by choice? Doc?
That is true.
So, if you can ponder on that, and then, the big thing is the Omicron.
I have a problem with that. The Omicron. Uh-oh. I do.
Oh, no.
I think I have a couple problems with Omicron. Omicron overall, they're shutting many things down. From the games, the basketball games, to Broadway, to movie theaters and restaurants or whatever. But schools is something else, which they're not shutting down. Individual schools are shutting down or whatever. But
I think that should be on a case-by-case basis. Yes, schools should be shut down. Yeah, on a case-by-case basis.
Right. I agree with that. But how come they're still going to have the New Year's Eve celebration?
The New Year's Eve celebration, as of now, it's scaled down. I don't know. I mean, if the numbers keep going, he can say that now. But if the numbers, if there's a continuous uptick in the numbers, I think he's going to have to reconsider it.
That was similar to the Labor Day parade was canceled. And then the very next week, they had another parade, and it wasn't a problem. So we're picking and choosing what we're closing and what we're not closing, and what So that's where my problem lies.
I think we're basing upon the science. If the science changes the following week, then you can go have it. But the West Indian car, everybody wasn't supportive of the West Indian car. So I hope you're not trying to make it an issue of race, doctor.
I didn't
Is
say
that what you're trying to do?
no, I
Oh,
did
I
not.
just wanted to make sure.
There was plenty of other there's plenty of other events that took place that was as big as the West Indies Day Parade.
I can understand that, but I don't think this had nothing to do with. Yeah, what you're saying is kind of suspect. Is that what we're trying to say, Doc?
I'm saying that it needs to be fair across the board. You can't pick and choose.
There was a West Indian Day Parade, right?
What?
There was a West Indian Day Parade.
Yeah, but no. They shut it. Yes. But every other thing, every other parade was not scaled back. That's my problem. It was not.
Right. Can we go to Omicron?
Only one?
Can we go to the fake vaccine cards? Can we talk about that?
Well, we're going to talk about the fake vaccine. The fake vaccine cards. People getting the fake vaccine cards. What that got to do with us?
And now it's criminalized. There, a criminal. You'll get criminal charge.
They just came down from our governor.
Yes. So that means, wait, the police officers who were caught with the fake vaccine.
Huh?
No. There was police officers found with
the law cannot be predated.
Okay.
So anybody who has a fake vaccine card at this juncture and uses it from this day forward.
To help you out, right?
So help me. Yeah, I didn't say that part, but okay. All right. John, I have a question for you.
I'll try to give you an honest answer.
What is
unlike
driving?
him, right?
What is driving?
Huh?
What is driving?
What is driving?
Yes.
You mean driving a vehicle or driving?
Yes.
What is driving a vehicle?
Yes. At which point are you driving a vehicle?
What?
At which point are you driving a vehicle? Once you put your foot on the gas.
That's what I say. I was talking to somebody today and they were explaining that they got a ticket because they were at the light and they stopped, took off their seatbelt to get something out of their pocket. The cop pulls them over and tell them they're driving without a seatbelt. I'm like, you should have taken that to court because if you stopped at the light, you're technically not driving.
Don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time because you're still in motion. You are still in motion and you are on a street in which traffic is flowing. If you were parked, it's a different story. We're parking, but if you are on,
he's at a light.
If you're at the light, you're on the pavement and you're driving. You're driving. That's like you're at the light and you take out your cell phone because you stopped at red, but you use your cell phone. You can't do that because you're still driving. You're within the parameters of the road.
I actually went to court. And saw somebody lost. I saw the police lost the case on that.
Really?
Yeah. Because the judge said driving means that the car has to be moving.
Right.
And if the car's not moving, then you're not driving.
Okay.
Like a lot of people don't know the difference between no parking, no standing, and no stopping.
Right.
People don't know the difference.
Explain to us, Mr. Daly, please.
Yeah, please.
No stopping means keep moving. Right? No stopping means keep it moving. No standing means don't idle. Right? You can load or unload and leave. And no parking means that you cannot leave the vehicle. So,
but if you stay in the vehicle, you can park.
If you stay in the vehicle, you can, because that's not considered parking if you're in the vehicle with the vehicle running.
All right. Well, I'll tell you one thing I'm happy about. Student loan has been extended. I am very happy about that.
Student loans have not been extended. Paying your student loans.
Yes,
Stop
yes,
not paying your student loans.
yes.
have been extended.
The payment. I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to not paying it.
Yo, you need to pay your damn student loans.
Listen, when it's a certain amount, you look forward to being able to save.
I got you. I got you. You know, it's funny when I was getting I paid Social Security, right? And then like around September, I no longer paid Social Security when I was working, right? And then when I saw that refund in my check, John, come October 1st,
Yeah.
I was like, dang. My wife's like, you know, you got extra money. I'm like, I got extra money. What are you talking about? So for like 2.5, what's it, November, December, for those 4 pay periods, I didn't have to pay no Social Security. I was like, God, hot diggly Dan. You know, so I get that. I know. The point is, Joe, I know the feeling.
It's not. It's nice. It's nice to be home sitting on your ass and just collecting a check. Can't complain, boss.
Yeah. Well, are you complaining about retirement, man? Are you serious, man?
I'm not saying. I'm not complaining about it. I'm envious of you.
I know.
Because you sit on your ass all day and pontificate.
And call Joanna and bother her. That's and bother her all day. So what's going on? Biden. Yo, I was just listening to something and your thoughts on this.
Okay.
That is a strong probability that the Democrats will lose the House next year and possibly the Senate. And this guy, what's that?
Yeah. West Virginia. Yeah. West Virginia dude. But Virginia's funny. That's a crazy state. You know, I don't know.
All red states are crazy states.
Is he really a Democrat?
Yeah, he's a Democrat.
You know what? He's a Democrat.
He's a conservative Democrat.
Yeah. But Roderick, if you think about it, Dr. Bryant, our parents are conservative when it comes to fiscal, but they're a little bit more liberal on social issues. Our parents are hybrids. If you think about it, they Democrats. My father was a Democrat, but he was fiscally conservative. He was fiscally conservative and very strong on crime.
But guess what? They weren't that.
Mine is strong on religion. Mine is religion. Religion is mine. That's where my parents is. So
my parents, religion all the way. My parents are 100% the same.
I am a Democrat, but I'm a moderate Democrat. I'm not a liberal Democrat. So let's talk about the governor race. I got my email from what's his name? Germani. He's run for governor.
Yep.
Germani, Kathy Hochul. You know, what do you think? You think he can pull the rest of the state? New York City, he can do well in New York City. He can.
You know what? I think, with my 2 cents, only worth 2 cents, is that we're looking at it wrong.
How so?
What we should be concentrating on is selecting a candidate who can beat the Republican. Because the Republican Lee Zeldin is not a slouch. He beat Bishop, who was the incumbent out there in Long Island. He fits the mold. Military, state senator, congressman, conservative. His wife is Hispanic. His kids are Hispanic, half Hispanic. We need to be concerned about beating Lee Zeldin, and we need to elect the candidate who can beat the Republican. That should be our focus, because we can support the present governor, and if she loses, that changes the whole dynamics of the state. You do have a Senate and Assembly who will still continuously be Democrats, but you have a governor who can make life easy or make life very hard for them. That's my 2 cents, Dr. Brian and Mr. Daly.
I think New York might lose the Senate. I think they might go back to being a Republican Senate.
No.
Why?
You don't think so?
Because they're drawing the lines, redistricting.
And why is that taking so long?
Because it's a process, Rudy. It's a process.
I know, but I remember when you got elected before Kevin, right? When Kevin got elected, right, in 2001, it was because of redistricting in 2000,
right?
But by 2001 they were done, so he was able to run with the new lines being drawn.
Yeah, he was able to run in 2002 with the new lines drawn.
No,
so like
I think
the new lines. No, they will be running next year with new lines.
Yeah, but I thought it was 2001, and he ran again in 2002.
Nope. He ran for control in 2001.
Oh, it was controller he ran for in 2001?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Right. So that dynamics changed, Dr. B.
You know, right. Running out of mask. You know, people running out of mask now is what my.
Oh man, because of the Omicron.
Yeah, like
that thing is.
They're running out of tests.
Yeah,
and people waiting online for 4 to 6 hours. That's ridiculous.
Right. They said 73% of the new cases are because of Omicron.
You
know,
a couple weeks ago it was nothing, and then boom.
Omicron says, "I'm wishing you a Merry Christmas."
Huh?
That's what Omicron is doing. It's saying, "I'm wishing you a Merry Christmas."
But here's the interesting thing, though. What's good, and I use the word "good" in quotes, is that it's not as deadly as a Delta variant. I don't know why I'm yawning so much.
I don't know. Did you sleep last night?
No, I didn't actually.
That could be the reason why.
I think I got like 3.5 hours of sleep. All right, too much dominoes. Right, but and so
addiction. That is an addiction. Okay,
it is.
When you're not sleeping and you're rather playing dominoes all day, all night. Well, like John said, you know, you're just chilling.
Right,
and you can't stay awake.
You know, wait. I gotta say this because I was yelling at a friend, and tell me if you agree. This is a domino conversation that I get back to a couple of things.
Oh God, the domino conversation.
I was yelling at one of my friends today. Right, we're in a match. We're a 2-table match. We're playing to 100. He's losing 20-5. He says it's my fault because I am the captain and I didn't take him out.
It is your fault.
I said, "Are you serious? You're sitting at a table. I'm playing. I'm actually in a match. I'm actually physically playing as well. So I'm not able to monitor your table because I'm not on the sidelines like a coach seeing exactly what's happening. And you need for me to tell you that you're losing 20-5 and you actually need to get up
and leave. But that's your fault. If you're the leader and the captain, that's it."
So yeah, but you know what, Roger, we talk, you know, and I'm especially during the season, you know, it's a time to reflect and just to think how fortunate we are to be here and to be free. But you got that young trucker who he sentenced to
a domino conversation. I agree. That's terrible.
Who sentenced him how many years? 100 and something?
110.
110 years.
Or 110 years.
But they gave somebody else, another gentleman, a couple years ago, a similar sentence as well. But they didn't make a big stink about it. So.
In this particular, they say it's how Colorado law is, right? How the Colorado law says that they can't do nothing about this, and they have to have clemency from.
But the judge said it was wrong too, which was interesting. If the judge noticed it was wrong, there's nothing he could do about it as well. Is that correct?
That's what they're saying. The statute and law says that this is what needs to be done. So I guess they didn't give him concurrent sentences, John.
Oh, similar to what we discussed last week with Chauvin.
Yeah, they gave him consecutive, probably.
Yeah, they gave him consecutive sentences. I had up to 110 years that I'm sitting there going, 110 years. The man is 26. He's 26 years old. You know,
and he hasn't seen any family.
I felt very bad for him.
What happened?
I feel bad. I think that's 120. And look at this. Okay, so here's something, Joanne. The officer gets maximum 7 years. The woman that's involuntary manslaughter gets 10 years probation. And this guy who was beyond remorseful, it was an accident, gets 110 years. And he talks about the legal system. Right? So you could look at race in this, because this guy was Hispanic.
The white gets 7, and then
the Asian gets the other white gets nothing, but the Spanish guy gets 110.
Yeah, that I can say. I use race towards it. Yeah, minorities always get hit harder.
Well, you know what? Yeah, it is true.
You know, especially when you have to face a judge like what's her name there? Dinot. When she start blurting out the N word, the N this, the N that.
A judge.
You know, in New Orleans.
That's awesome.
But what about that black judge down there who was carrying on like a fool too?
I didn't hear about that one.
Yep, carrying on like a fool too.
In New Orleans as well?
I don't think it was in New Orleans. It might have been Kentucky, maybe. A black woman judge too.
Oh yeah. I did hear something.
You know, it's crazy.
Like you begin like you are like who's in charge of saying things should happen, right? I mean, let's in this particular place, right? Does her language itself is deeply concerning.
Correct.
And so when you think about that, if you're showing prejudices towards, well, this is not prejudice because this is racial epithet. How does that carry over into your court system?
It carries over.
Exactly.
Everybody tried to say you try to be impartial. It does carry over. Your perceptions, your viewpoints. That what happens when these judges are giving sentences. That's why you see the variations in the sentences. That's why with respect to the feds, they give you a guidelines. You know what I'm saying? In the state, they try to give you a guidelines, but they'll lock you up for, what's the person? You might as well say, oh, you got 60 years to life. You might as well say, give me life.
Yeah.
That's so what are your thoughts about the new reclassification of fully vaccinated?
Can you speak English, Dr. Bryant?
Kisa?
Comprar?
What reclassification of fully vaccinated? Fully vaccinated is with a booster.
No, it should not be. It should not be.
But that's what it is. They're offering $100 for you to get your booster now.
Did the governor switch and say, hey, you know what? We're changing this and fully vaccinated is not considered with booster?
I don't know, doctor. You tell me. What did you hear?
John.
Hmm?
You know what it comes down to. Dr. Bryant don't want to take the darn shot, so therefore she's like, why should I take another shot?
Listen, everybody who recently took that shot have been sick for the last couple.
Oh shit! Here we go. Here we go, y'all. Here we go, villagers.
Let's go more with the conspiracy thing. Yes, Doc, I'm listening.
No, I'm not saying conspiracy. It's just they have been sick after taking the booster.
What are you talking about?
The booster. The booster.
The booster shot.
What are you talking about? I don't know anybody who got sick from taking the booster.
Really? Well, I know several people who have.
You always know somebody who died from the vaccine. You know somebody who died who's sick from the booster. Yo, what's going? Yo, John.
Yeah.
We need to figure out who she knows, yo. Because for her, like, you just know somebody, right? Like, I don't know anybody who got sick from the booster.
Well, I have.
Yeah,
I do.
Right. You're unique.
They're full of crap. They're making people sick with all these rules they make up as they go. That's true. I agree, Simone.
But put Simone next comment up there for her.
Not true doctors. Exactly. Exactly. The
She's
science.
saying what you're saying is not true. That's what she's saying. Read the next comment. Go down. Yeah, that one right there. Exactly. You are like, John, Joanne is like the conspiracy. Anything that's what are you talking about?
She seems like a Trumper.
Yeah, exactly.
A Trump acolyte.
Yeah, let me follow the small numbers and make them the real big numbers. These are really huge. Like
a Trump acolyte.
Right. People get sick from taking booster. Right. So when it's like 1 out of 10 people, for her, that one is the 9 out of 10, right? Right? Because she's right. Like what if Apostle James says, omission of the truth is not a lie, or it is a lie. So then you need to say that 9 out of 10 people are not affected by the vaccine.
I don't know about that. Everyone that I actually encountered who took the vaccine have been sick.
I don't know. I took the vaccine.
I'm talking about the booster. The booster.
My wife took it. My kids took it.
The booster, and they're fine. Great.
My mother took it. My father took it.
I think it you know what? Everybody has a different story. It impacts people differently. At the end of the day, we just, we just try to be safe. We just try to, if we stick to the basics of 6 feet, wear a mask,
I agree.
Wash our hands, we can prevent us from catching Omicron and other variants. It's about
Did you hear about that, about the pill?
Yeah, I heard about the pill. Yeah.
Will you be taking the pill?
Yeah, you could take it, right?
Oh, you all stop taking pills?
Oh, Simone, we're not in the studio. Right? We're not in the studio.
Oh, I got COVID again.
Simone, you can call me myself, Simone. I'll put you on the air. Call me myself. Right. Right. Bring up Eddie's comment there for Joanne.
Took it, no problem. You can't deny.
That's for Joanne. That's for you.
Please.
But people you don't take it. How you feel?
Not true. I follow all the protocols and still got sick.
Well, that is true. That's a fact.
That's true.
Right? That's a fact. Right? It can happen that you do get sick from following the protocols.
And be vaccinated.
And be back. Yeah, I know you love to throw that in. Right. There you go. Right.
Did you see? She said, which one of the numbers?
Simone, go ahead. You're live.
Hi. Let me tell you this, doctor, because I know she's against the vaccine. But it's
I didn't say anything.
What was that?
I didn't say anything about the vaccine. It's just,
No, you don't have to come out and say, but based off your reactions to what's being said when anything is said, we can pick sense out of nonsense. Even Ray Charles could do that.
Whoa!
Yeah. You know what my problem is?
Wait, Joanne. Let you finish with the guy.
Let's say you have 10 babies, and the 10 babies come up for their inoculation. And out of the 10 babies, 5 get sick. Does that mean that they should not have gotten inoculated? Doctor?
She asked you a question.
No. What you said? Repeat again. Sorry.
She said if 10 babies come up for inoculation.
Their shots, they say all children should get. 5 get sick.
And 5 didn't.
Does that mean that and 5 didn't? Does that mean you're against it, that they shouldn't have gotten vaccinated at all? Not with the new vaccine I'm talking about now, in general. It's the same thing with the vaccine, and it's the same thing with the booster. Not everyone gets sick. It's impossible for some people not to have a reaction. I would have been more concerned if everybody who was getting vaccinated or getting the booster did not have a reaction. If everybody was just like, oh, I'm fine, I took it and nothing happened, then I would have been more concerned. You're always, no matter what happens, how much research went into whatever, you're always going to have somebody who had a reaction to it. And you know that as a doctor too, so I don't know why you're playing devil's advocate. You know that as a doctor, and you my girl. Trust me, I'm with you 100%, but you got to call this
not this time. You're not.
No, I'm just being truthful. I'm not going to be.
But you know what? But you know what? But you know what? You have to challenge. You do have to challenge, and you do have to play devil's advocate to ensure that so you can have that balance, because there are questions that truly exist that needs to be answered. We're not just going to settle upon you as giving us this it was further research needs to be done on the impact these vaccines have on us.
I agree that yes, they did it really fast, but this is my thing. Back in the days when they came up with all these things that they said we have to get, so you don't get polio, you don't get this, you don't get that. Who did all these researches when they decided that we all had to line up in schools because we had no other choice and we all had to get these vaccinations? Who did all these research? Didn't somebody have to first be the guinea pig just like now?
Yeah, but I don't want to be a guinea pig. That's mine. Yeah. But here it is. When you're being a guinea pig and you're I understand what you're talking about in regards to school. If you don't take it, you can't
have, not to cut you, but we didn't have certain, we weren't as advanced then as we are now when it comes to the science.
The science. That's the I don't know.
Like John was saying,
Simone.
Yeah, go ahead.
Joanne is what I'm finding, Joanne, and correct me if I'm wrong, here is it sounds like you have a certain amount of trust issues. Right. I could be wrong, but it sounds like there's a lot of trust issues, like whether it's trust in the government, whether it's trust in people. And so
I wouldn't
yeah.
I think Joanne just thinks that it came up too fast.
No. She. If you listen to Joanne, and I'm listening to her more and more, and I realize there's a significant amount of trust issues that she has with almost anything.
Not anything. Certain things.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything. I said almost anything. and it's not just the vaccine.
Yeah, I think Joan, when it comes to the government, and she could correct me if I'm wrong, she just doesn't have that trust. She just feels like the government is not being honest with us. There's certain things they're holding back. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I'm getting from her.
That's a good question.
The government is not coming 100% with us. There is something more. The government knows, but they're not saying it. And they just wish, I feel that way with certain things too. Don't get me wrong. I'm still going back to my theory where I say back then when my ancestors, I'm going to say my ancestors, but you know what I'm talking about, when they were being vaccinated, look at that where they say you can tell somebody who's a West Indian because they have that big mark on their shoulder to say that they got vaccinated.
Yes.
That big scar on their shoulder. What's in it that caused that big scar? Because almost I say, because I don't have it, but almost every West Indian has that big scar. We can say from the
the top part of your shoulders. And Paul, my sister is one. Paul mentioned that my sister is on her second COVID fight, fully vaccinated. So I think more some of my concern.
I'm talking to you now, and I'm recovering from my second COVID, with COVID, but this time it wasn't as bad as when I wasn't vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
So, I hear that a lot. I do hear that a lot. A lot of people say that once they have the vaccine, they don't have the same level of trauma.
And this time it came on like I was getting a flu. The first time was I can't even describe it. This time it came on where I just had a deep cough. And I kept saying to my friend, I have a friend who's a doctor, and I'm saying, can you just write me a prescription? Because I feel like I'm getting the flu. I feel like I'm getting this type of cold, and I can't get rid of it. And she's like, oh, your body's just tired. You need rest, And she's like, if anything is going on, you're going to get it because you don't rest, you don't this, you don't that. And before I knew it, I said, you know what? Let me go get tested. There it was. I almost passed out when they said positive.
Wow. I was reading somewhere where they mentioned that they're up to the next vaccine number 4 to try to deal with this. So we're just going to keep adding vaccine after vaccine after vaccine after vaccine.
No, but not in the US, in Israel. In Israel, they're actually doing the 4th vaccine, but the US said they don't have any plan to do that right now.
Right now until next week, then we hear something different. So that is that is, I guess, overall concern and alarming, because originally, okay, you'll take the vaccine, and it's not going to prevent you from COVID, but it should help you avoid getting it, or some, it was structured that way in the beginning. So yes, go get the COVID shot, blah 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 blah, and then no, just a few individuals would get breakthrough. We have a lot of people who are vaccinated who are getting breakthroughs all the time.
Look, it's the same thing with us as kids. You think we're still protected when we were young and we got the tetanus shot, and originally we were taught in the Caribbean that we didn't need it for life, and they say you are protected, but you're not protected. As things advance, we're now finding out that every 10 years you need a tetanus. Ever so often, whatever we got when we were kids, when we were immunized, now I'm being told, oh, you got to get certain shots all over again because it doesn't last like they thought it did. Mm-hmm. It's just the same thing with the vaccines, just that they have a shorter time span. Mm-hmm. But I understand. I'm not going to try to convince you. I know how you feel. It's just like people can't convince me about Trump. I can't convince you about the government.
Hey, don't talk about my guy. Don't talk about my guy, Trump. Come on.
Thank you so much, Simone. Thank you for sharing.
To put you in, because one minute I feel like you're on the left, the next minute you're on the right. I don't know which box to put you in.
Don't worry, we don't know either. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good. So y'all have a good one. It's my
and on that, have a Merry Christmas, Simone. Merry Christmas.
Yes.
It's your birthday.
So Roderick.
When is your birthday today?
Dr. B.
Oh, I gotta give a shout out to Joseph and Simone. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. Joseph's birthday is today. My friend Joseph. Happy birthday to all the December babies. My sister's birthday was on Tuesday. So shout out to Cassandra.
Big up, big up, big up.
Yeah, we have a lot of December babies.
I see. Yes, and also while I'm
tomorrow.
at it, right before I forget, Anika, right? Anika's birthday is coming up tomorrow. My friend,
my personal trainer tomorrow too. He's awesome.
Right? My friend Kenya, her birthday is the day after tomorrow. What was that? Wednesday. What day is that? The not Wednesday. I'm so lost with the days of the week.
The 26th.
Sunday. That's Sunday. Yes, it's her birthday.
26th. Yeah, my aunt is the 26th too. She's 90 something.
So you know what? God bless us. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Mwah!
As Tiny Tim would say, God bless us, everyone.
Yes, yes, and everyone, please do enjoy your Christmas. Enjoy
safe.
your holiday. Be safe, be strong, and make sure you spend some time with a friend, with a family. Try not to be alone on this Christmas.
And get tested.
And if you have nobody to give a gift to, I am right here.
Let me tell you, Jesus is the reason for the season. Don't forget.
Amen.
Amen.
It's better to give than receive.
And
you hear that, Dr. Brian Roderick? Give me some gifts.
That means you'll be receiving.
On that note,
right.
Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come on to learn and grow.